With the 2025 NBA draft happening right now, I wanted to go back and take another look at the class of 2024. They were considered one of the most underwhelming classes we've seen in a long time and didn't really have anyone that people were super excited about. There also wasn't a Cooper Flagg, of Victor Wembanyama, or someone that was the overwhelming favorite to be picked first overall. But now that the season is over and their rookie campaigns are complete, were they really that bad? The Rookie of the Year award went to Spurs guard Stefon Castle. Despite inconsistent minutes, the injuries the team dealt with, and the addition of De'Aaron Fox, Castle still had a really solid season. He had 26 games with 20 or more points and also became a much better playmaker throughout the year. He had the highest usage rate out of any of the rookies by far and was also one of the top defenders in the class as well. His all-around game and consistency throughout all the obstacles is a big reason he won the award. Castle already looks like he could be a multiple-time All-Star, and if he continues to develop his jump shot, then who knows where he could end up. The other two nominees were Zachary Reese and Jaylen Wells, who both had good seasons themselves. Zach Risacher actually made a late Rookie of the Year push towards the end of the season. After not the best start of the year, except for that incredible 33-point game against the Knicks, he really picked it up in the second half. He honestly just wasn't making his shots. They were open looks, only they weren't going in. But once they started to fall, everything else started to fall into place too. He finished the last 35 games of the season shooting 52% from the field and 42% from three. To put that into perspective, for the first 40 games of the year, he was shooting just 39% total and 28% from three. It was a massive difference, and you could tell he was really starting to gain his confidence. Then there's Jaylen Wells, who is one of the two rookies from the Grizzlies. He's yet another two-way player that has already shown a good amount of promise despite being drafted in the second round. He wasn't doing anything too crazy, but he was consistent, and even when he didn't fill up the stat sheet, he was always doing something on the court to be a positive. Unfortunately, he took a nasty fall in one of the final games of the season, which broke his wrist and caused him to miss the playoffs. And once he was no longer playing, the team could feel his absence. However, his rookie teammate Zaccharie was available in the playoffs, and although they got swept, Edey did have some pretty cool moments. He even had 7 blocks and a near triple-double in their final game. However, Zach wouldn't be able to escape without injury because over the offseason he re-sprained his ankle during a workout and will need surgery. That means he will likely miss the beginning of next season, so hopefully he's back sooner than later. But you can't talk about the 2024 class without bringing up Jared McCain. Jared was probably the biggest surprise when it comes to last year's draft class. He was taken with the 16th pick, and with a 76ers team that has Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, he wasn't going to play because the Sixers will be competing for a title. Unfortunately for them though, that didn't happen whatsoever. Everybody got hurt, which left the rookie Jared McCain to come in and save the day. He had a 7-game stretch right at the beginning of the season where he averaged 26 points and 4 assists while shooting 50-40-90. That run alone put him on the map, and since no other rookie was truly showing out, he became like the face of the class at one point. He did come back down to earth just a little bit, but then tore his meniscus only 23 games in. Who knows what he would have looked like if he never got hurt. He was on a pretty crazy trajectory. He should be back next year though, completely healthy again, and for the Sixers' sake, hopefully the rest of the team can too. Alex Sarr was the second pick in the draft by the Washington Wizards, and coming into the NBA, he was known as a raw prospect with a ton of potential. In France, he was a defensive menace with a questionable bag on offense. When he actually got to the league, his defense was still really good and the best part of his game. But it became pretty clear that he was going to need a lot of work offensively. He's 7 feet tall and finished the season shooting 39% total. He was able to get his 3-point percentage up to 31%, but overall his shooting was extremely inefficient in general, let alone for someone his height. Plus, I do have to bring up the fact that he plays for the Wizards. I don't know how many Wizards games you guys watched last season, but their offense was doing him no favors. I'm still a lot higher on Alex Sarr than a lot of people though. I think he can become a really good player. But he wasn't their only rookie. They also drafted Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George, who both played well. Just like Alex, they both had some really big games, especially Carrington. The only thing is Carrington shot 40% from the field and Keyshawn shot 37%. That's why I was giving the benefit of the doubt to Alex, because it wasn't just him not shooting well. Really nobody was efficient. There's a reason they finished as the second worst team in the league. But one of the other late standout rookies was Chicago Bulls forward Buzelis. As a 6'10" small forward, Buzelis can kinda do a bit of everything. From shooting, to blocking shots, to putting the ball on the floor and making something happen, he has a pretty good all-around game. Once the Bulls decided to trade Zach LaVine and really start focusing on the younger players, the team as a whole took a pretty big step. They actually became a really fun team to watch towards the end of last year, and hopefully he can become a big part of the new direction. And honestly, same thing went for Kelel Ware. As the season went on, the more minutes he got. When the Jimmy Butler trade saga started happening, Kelel became a consistent starter for the rest of the season. As a starter, he literally averaged a double-double on 54% shooting. But even better than that, he was a monster when it came to defense and rebounding. Plus, he's only gonna get scarier once he consistently starts knocking down those threes. So far, I've talked about 10 different players and have had positive things to say about each one of them. And although they might not be the future faces of the league, I do feel like the floor for most of them is pretty high, which could definitely be considered underwhelming due to the lack of star players, at least for now. But it's hard for me to say that these guys are simply bad. It really all depends on how they improve over time. I'm optimistic a lot of these guys will improve on some of their flaws, and if they do, they should have long careers. If they don't, that's when concern starts to show, but seeing how many of these guys improved over the course of the season alone, it gives me faith. I'm not done either, I'm still gonna quickly mention a few others. When the Blazers starting center DeAndre Ayton got hurt, it was the rookie Donovan Clingan who stepped up and became the full-time starter. Not only can he be impactful on offense, just like Kelel Ware, he's a monster on the rebounds. He had an 18, a 19, and even a 20 rebound game during that stretch. Donovan averaged over 2 blocks and 10 rebounds as a starter, and if you didn't keep up with the Blazers last season, they actually got pretty good by the end of the year. Risacher was literally drafted with a 3rd overall pick and didn't even play very much. After a good summer league, everyone thought he was going to be one of the rookies that made an impact right away, but that just wasn't the case. He played on a team that finished as the 2nd seed in the Western Conference though. If he was on a worse team, he definitely would have played a lot more. Now I'm curious to see what he looks like on the new Kevin Durant Rockets. Dolan Connect is another guy that was drafted to a team trying to win right away, so he didn't get very much playing time. Connect had a couple really fun games throughout the season, but since the Lakers were already not great defensively, if you were coming off the bench, you basically needed to be a good defender. That's why you saw Jordan Goodwin getting minutes over him in the playoffs. Not because Goodwin is the better player, but it's because it's what the team needed, even though they still probably should have given him some minutes. Isaiah Collier became the starting guard for the Jazz a quarter way through the year and was actually a good playmaker. He wasn't very efficient when it came to shooting, but he led the whole rookie class in assists. Rob Dillingham became a pretty big name throughout high school and college, but like a few others I've mentioned, he didn't get a whole lot of minutes because he played for a contending team. He started to play more in the middle of the season and had some good moments, but nothing too crazy. I'm curious to see if the Timberwolves can get him involved next year. But how about the Pelicans rookie Yves Missi? He quickly became the starting center after only 5 games and is an athletic freak. He can grab rebounds, block shots, and could probably pull down the entire hoop if he wanted. Tristan da Silva is another guy who got pretty consistent minutes right away. Although he was up and down at times, he had some pretty good performances. And then not to mention guys like Terrence Shannon Jr., who actually played really well as a rookie in the playoffs, or Nikola Topic, who was drafted with the 12th pick by the championship-winning Thunder that hasn't even made his debut yet, or Kyle Flipowski, AJ Mitchell, Ryan Dunn, Quentin Post. All these dudes are at least showing some type of promise. Am I overly optimistic on some of these players and focusing on their bright spots? Absolutely, and I'm sure not all of these guys are going to have long, successful careers. But despite not having many superstar talents, there are a lot of guys that can play a certain role really well. Which, with the way the NBA is trending, winning teams need guys like that. The 2024 draft class is full of them. I don't even know how many players I've mentioned at this point. That should tell you how I feel about them. Again, although they might not have a ton of superstar talent dominating the league right away, there is a lot of depth. Is it a class that people will remember forever? Probably not, but I do think it's a lot better than people realize and not as bad as people assume, especially with multiple rookies taking a big leap in the second half of the year. But let me know what you think about the 2024 rookie class in the comments, and please leave a like to support the channel. Also, subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.